Good afternoon, and good afternoon to all participants in the public hearing organized by the Independent Evaluation Commission for assessing the integrity of candidates for the position of member in the self-administration bodies of judges and prosecutors pursuant to Law Number 26/2022. I hereby declare this session open. This hearing involves the evaluation of Mr. Holban Vladislav, candidate for the Superior Council of Magistracy and judge at the Chișinău Court. I would like to welcome you, Mr. Holban. I will start by explaining why this commission is here, and I will introduce you to those present in the room. We are here to conduct a public hearing in the context of the evaluation process aimed at assessing the judicial candidates for the position of the Superior Council of Magistracy. The Commission is acting in accordance with the Law Number 26/2022, and I quote, on certain measures relating to the selection of candidates for position of member in the self-administration bodies of judges and prosecutors, end of quote, and in accordance with the rules of procedure and the evaluation rules of the Commission, which have been adopted by the Commission pursuant to the provisions to this law. In front of you, you have the 6 members of the Commission, and from your right-hand perspective, you see Natasha Riebczewski, Nona Totsoria, Tatjana Raducanu, and on the other side, Victoria Henley, Vitali Miron, and myself, Herman van Hebel, the chair of this Commission. The Commission is furthermore assisted by a number of members of the Secretariat, and behind you are representatives of the media and the public. Also present today, as you can see, is a photographer who will be taking pictures at the opening of this hearing for a few minutes. We are pleased to have members of the public and representatives of the media present at these hearings. For those in attendance, please be advised of the following rules during the hearing. You're not permitted to take photographs. Members of the media can arrange to obtain copies of photographs taken by the photographer. You're not permitted to record the hearing. The proceedings are being recorded and will be available online, generally within 24 hours after the hearing via the website of the Commission, and the website address is www.vetting.md. We ask that you remain silent throughout the hearing, and we ask you that you respect COVID regulations. Throughout the hearing, the members of the Commission will remain seated, and you're invited as well to remain seated during this hearing. At the end of the hearing, you will be given the opportunity to make a brief closing comment. It is, of course, up to you to decide whether or not to make use of that opportunity. During the hearing, one or more members of the Commission will put questions to you. You will be asked some questions seeking mostly confirmation of facts that hopefully can be answered by a yes or no response. And in addition, you will be asked questions that seek more explanation and clarification. I would ask you to answer them truthfully and completely, and your explanations are important to the Commission in verifying your financial and ethical integrity. During the hearing, interpretation between Romanian and English will be provided, and to allow accurate interpretation, I would kindly ask you to speak clearly and slowly. In formulating our questions, we will also take into account your privacy and, where required and possible, the privacy of your family members and close persons. So we will leave out unnecessary details relating to, for example, ID numbers, bank account numbers, addresses of real estate, etc. For the protection of your own privacy, we ask you to do the same. As a judge, you are of course familiar with the need to respect proper order of the proceedings, and the Commission expects full respect for this order by all participants. According to the evaluation rules of the Commission, in case of a violation of this order, the chairperson is entitled to issue a warning and, if required, to exclude a candidate from the hearing. But I hope and expect that there will be no need to make use of this power. I will start with a brief overview of the procedural background of this evaluation. On 8 July, the Commission sent you a request for submission of the 5-year declaration of assets and personal interests. And on the 15th of July, you submitted your 5-year declaration. The Commission also asked candidates to voluntarily complete and submit an ethics questionnaire, and you did so on the 5th of July. The Commission sent you a first round of questions on 5 September, a second round of questions on 27 September, and a third round of questions on 13 October, and a fourth round of questions on 18 October. Your responses were submitted on 9 September in relation to the first round, on 30 September in relation to the second round of questions, on 15 October to the third round, and on 20 October to the fourth round of questions. You were asked a total number of 33 questions, including 79 subparts, and 35 of these questions included a request for further documentation. You provided answers to all 33 questions and all 79 subparts of questions, and you provided documentation in relation to all 35 of the requests for further documentation. Please be advised that under Article 3, Paragraph 4 of the evaluation rules of the Commission, a candidate may not provide information, documents, or other materials during the hearing if the Commission requested these earlier and the candidate did not provide them within the time specified, unless, of course, the candidate provides sufficient justification for not providing the information as requested. Members of the Commission will now start with asking you questions. Victoria Henley will start with asking questions, followed by Vladislav Holban. They will alternate asking questions throughout the hearing. We will try to keep our questions short and to the point, and we ask that your answers are short and to the point as well. I now give the floor to Victoria Henley to start with the first set of questions.
Good afternoon, Mr. Holban. I'm Victoria Henley. First going to ask you, pardon me, about a house that you purchased in Trusain Village in Chișinău in 2018. You purchased a land plot with an individual house with an area of 112.1 square meters located in Trusain Village, Chișinău Municipality, based on a sale purchase contract of August 10, 2018. The property was bought from CB Victoria Bank, which owned the properties at the price of 1.2 million lei, of which 240,000 lei was paid by you on the date of signing the contract, and the amount of 960,000 lei was paid from the contract of credit, also contracted from BC Victoria Bank on the same day. In your answers to the Commission, you provided the mortgage contract signed on the same day as the sale purchase contract. According to the contract, this property was mortgaged to Victoria Bank to ensure the repayment of the loan. According to point 1.5 of the mortgage contract, the market value of the property was indicated in the sum of 1.858 million lei, more than 658,000 lei than the purchase value of 1.2 million lei. Regarding this difference in purchase and market price value, in your answers to the Commission, you declared that the sale price was established exclusively by the seller through a public offer in the amount of 1,200,000 lei. I'll begin by asking you some questions to establish the facts. Hopefully, these can be answered with a yes or no response, and then I'll ask you some questions that will seek greater detail or explanation from you. Please confirm that on August 10, 2018, you bought a land plot of 0.05 acre and the individual house with an area of 112.1 square meters located in Trusain Village, Chișinău Municipality.
It is like that.
Please confirm that you declared in your 2021 declaration that you paid for the property 1.2 million lei.
Da.
Yes.
Please confirm that out of the price paid of 1,200,000 lei for the property, you personally paid 240,000 lei, and 960,000 lei was paid for by a loan contracted from Victoria Bank.
It is like that. Yes.
And could you explain how you obtained the offer from Victoria Bank for the purchase of the property?
As I answered previously in the questions that you asked, the price for this real estate was established by a public offer. So the announcement about the sale of this real estate, actually there were many more items of real estate. I think there were 54 real estates. I found out that later. So the bank put them up for sale, and the price and the way of establishing the price is not known to me, but the price was established by the seller exclusively. I only saw the offer, and as I told you, answered you previously, it was very important for me, given the reputation of banks here in Moldova, to identify the good faith of the seller. And in the moment when I analyzed this offer, I found that the majority shareholder of that bank was the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, which had majority stock in this bank directly and through Banca Transilvania. So, good faith of the seller and the way of how price was established, I did not have any doubts, because myself as a judge, and I think we all know, we had many cases when the way the price was established was by non-declaring the contracts null and void, and I analyzed it very thoroughly. Moreover, this situation did not raise any doubts of mine. After I saw the real estate and what's its condition, it was clear why that was the price established.
And do you recall how you first learned of the offering?
If I'm not mistaken, there were public announcements. And it was also on the bank's website. Moreover, when you were passing by these real estates, they are by the highway, and there was a banner with this offer on it. And which was first, I don't remember. Maybe I saw the banner and then I tried to find out more, or the other way around. But I remember on more specialized website, this offer was on specialized websites that sell real estate. This was published.
And please confirm that your property was mortgaged to Victoria Bank on the same day as the purchase took place, the mortgage to reinsure the repayment of the loan.
Yes, because this real estates, that was the condition from Victoria Bank. It was attractive because they had a special credit for those real estate. From what I learned later on, they were being for sale for like 10 years and no one bought them. And Victoria Bank created a special product for those specific real estates for crediting, and the condition was for them to be mortgaged. And it was.
And the amount in the mortgage contract, the market value of the property is listed in the amount of 1.858 million lei.
Indeed, after I studied this mortgage contract, I found that there are several evaluations. We have market evaluation, we have liquidation evaluation, replacement, and these values were different. These amounts were included by Victoria Bank after the evaluation report done by them. Personally, I did not see that evaluation report, but the mortgage contract was not negotiated with them. It was, in a way, standardized contract, standardized clauses. The only negotiated clause was the enforced sale clause. But in that case, I think the interest was growing, therefore I refused it. So this was the only thing I could negotiate under that agreement. Otherwise, all clauses were established by the bank.
Can you explain the difference between the market value and the declared purchase price of 658,000 lei?
As I previously said, this is the price that was put down on the basis of an evaluation report, but I never saw that evaluation report. I don't know who developed it, what were the conditions, and whether it referred to this particular asset. As I said, in that complex, there were several assets. And in terms of structure, they're similar to one another, but they were in different level. Their condition was different. So some of the assets were in a good condition, and others were in a more deteriorated condition. And I provided pictures of that. Therefore, I do not know if it was particularly that asset that the report referred to, or whether the evaluation report had to do with a different asset. And I guess this is where there was lack of concordance in these amounts.
Anything else you'd like to add or further clarify with respect to your purchase of that property?
I would like only to say that I arrived at the conclusion that we had the need to purchase it because the conditions, the mortgage conditions were very good, that I could afford to pay with my salary over a period of 15 years. And considering the economic situation in the country, I did not manage to make any investments into that asset, so it is in the same condition as it used to be, and I have nothing further to add. Thank you, Mr. Holban, but just to make sure that I got it right. So the mortgage contract was not given to you ahead of time? No. The mortgage contract was, well, at the time that I signed the sale purchase agreement and the clauses for the provisions of it, I only had the possibility to look at in advance at some of the clauses, and I only was able to negotiate one of the provisions, one of the clauses of the agreement. And as for this report evaluating the building, as far as I remember, to be able to for the credit to be accepted, for the loan to be accepted, the bank said it needed a report evaluating that asset. And then I said that the seller was the bank, so they evaluated it. And at the end of the day, as for a valuation report from me, I was not requested to provide a valuation report of the asset, but I have also not seen a different valuation report. So I couldn't tell how was that report even developed, what were the criteria for arriving at that particular amount that was put down in that valuation report. So if I would have seen it, but when you saw the mortgage contract and when you saw the market value, which was bigger, did you raise any questions? Did you try to gain more clarity from the bank in that regard, or had you already signed the contract? It was already too late because they're in the contractual clauses. There's a liquidation value. There are several values. The liquidation one is one of them, and another one that is, I think, 800-something thousand for liquidation. For replacement, I think it was 1 million. So different than the price in the sales agreement. And the last one, if you know, maybe in your activity as a judge, or is this a common practice in Moldova to enter into an agreement that sets out a particular price, that and then for that same contract to provide for a bigger, actually, market value? Or is this phenomenon, is it something that you've encountered in your activity as a judge? In my practice, I've come across a lot of situations where the price of sale is one and the market value is different. I repeat, the establishment of the market value for a particular asset depends on a number of criteria. Therefore, in order to establish the market value and the negotiated price, these are two different things. So market price can be one thing, and if there are then negotiations, then but in this case it was not negotiated.
I'm now going to ask you some questions regarding the 50 square meter apartment in Chișinău that was purchased in 2009. In 2009, you purchased an apartment with an area of 50 square feet, square meters, located in Chișinău under a sale purchase contract dated June 16, 2009, which indicated the value of the apartment at 411,400 lei. You declared the apartment in your annual declaration for 2013. In written communication with the Commission on this matter, you declared the financial means for the purchase of the apartment was money earned by you and your wife in the United States, and also financial resources from your wedding that took place in June 2009. Altogether, you presented documents confirming earnings by you and your wife during your stays in the United States of approximately $35,000 US. You also provided a bank statement issued by Citibank USA in New York, confirming a transfer to you of the amount of 24,000 roughly US dollars dated from October 2008, which the Commission asked you to provide the original of due to poor readability of the electronic document. And you declared that another source of the money for the apartment was obtained at the wedding that took place in 2009. But you didn't provide any documents on the earnings from your wedding in 2009. Did you happen to bring the original copy of the bank statement issued by Citibank? Great.
Da, este.
Yes, I have it.
Great. Thank you. And do you have anything you'd like to add or further clarify with respect to the source of funds used to purchase the 50 square meter apartment in Chișinău in 2009?
No, what you said was correct, indeed. The sources, the funds, are the result of our work in the U.S. I and my wife, and in fact confirmed by the documentation that I was able to present. Considering it was long ago, 2008, I had to request information from the Bank of America and from a different bank that I had accounts in. Unfortunately, I only received the information that it's been too long ago and that they no longer had any records. And I've also sent you my social security number, thinking that maybe the Commission would have had the possibility to acquire broader information, more information for you to have a better picture of the revenue that I earned in the U.S. So this was the money that was earned there, and with that money we bought the apartment the next day, practically after the wedding, because we collected the amount that we needed to buy the apartment.
Acum o să vă întrebăm despre... Da, în română să fie.
Now, what will follow next has to do with the amount that was declared in relation to your wife. In your annual declarations for 2017-2021, you declared a total income of 882,000 lei, earned by your wife on the basis of entrepreneur's patent for the manufacturing of handicrafts. In your answers to the Commission, you stated the following, that the sources of the given income result from the production and the sale of created goods. Given that the economic activity, entrepreneurial activity, is conducted on the basis of a patent, because For the goods, there are no tax receipts issued. I do not have the possibility to present supporting documentation for the entire amount, but some of the assets were sold to legal entities who paid by bank transfers to the card account held by my wife for this purpose. And thus, you've annexed your wife's bank statements for October 2020 to December 2020 and for the year 2021. They confirm the amount of about 30,000 and about 85,000 for 2021, respectively. In total, these amounts cover about 115,000 out of 882,000. And the Commission has also further asked you to provide supporting documentation for the outstanding amount. And you provided some additional invoices. Now you can see in front of your face all of the figures so that I don't have to list them, name them for every year. In total, you submitted supporting documentation for 153,000 lei, out of a total of 882,000 lei that you declared together with your wife. And the facts that were presented to you by the Secretariat, you have the document, right? Yes, it's right here. We made this, we totaled the amounts to make it simpler, and there's also a table where you can see these amounts. I found it. And in your subsequent answers, you said that you weren't able to provide more documentation because those payments are usually made in cash, because that is the nature of one working on the basis of a patent. And you explained about the production, the sale of those produced handicrafts that are produced by your wife specifically. There were decorations, especially for winter holidays, and you also provided some information on when usually most of the sales take place, and you've also provided some information with regards to the regular participation of your wife in exhibitions where these goods are sold, including at the Parliament. I have a couple of clarification questions, and you will have the possibility to provide additional information. I would like you to confirm, can you confirm that for the years 2017, 2021, in your annual declarations, you declared a total income of 882,000 lei earned by your wife? Yes. Please confirm that you submitted supporting documentation for the amount of 153,479 lei out of the total amount of 882,000 lei. And the calculations, the detailed calculations are in the table. And all these calculations were performed on the basis of the data that you provided. I did not sum it up, but if I trust your calculations. If you did these calculations, I trust them. These are based on the statements from 2020, 2021, and the other invoices that you have submitted, along with the answers to the last round of questions. Please explain the basis on which you declared in all your declarations for 2017, 2021. So please explain the basis on which you declared your wife's annual income from her patent-based activity for those aforementioned years. So the basis is the legal basis set out in the law on patents, and the amount that was put down is the actual amount that was collected by my wife as part of her economic entrepreneurial activity on the basis of the patent. Can you explain us, how do you calculate, how do you collect the information on all the sale activity, on all revenue collected by your wife? My wife sells, she sells, most of the handicrafts are bespoken, so she puts down some notes, and at the end of the year, we sit down together, we make calculations, we sum things up. Do you have any copy of such notes that you make? Not right now, because I was not asked about it. but we should look for them. Because knowing the legal obligation that I should annually report, that I have to fill in the annual declaration, I asked her, although the law does not demand of it, does not provide for it, I asked her to do it because we needed to sit down and think about it, to be able to support, justify, substantiate the revenues collected by my wife. So you do not, well, as regards supporting documentation, the other sales or the other assets were paid for in cash, or, well, as we all know, in Moldova, only some of the transactions are performed electronically or using a bank card. Most of the times people pay in cash. But for this particular type of activity, we are not allowed to have a cash register, and I wanted for it to happen, but we're not allowed to have a cash register for us to be able to keep records. The law does not allow us to do it, so that's why we observed the law to the letter as far as this entrepreneurial activity is concerned. So as a matter of principle, then, the notes that you put down on an annual basis, can you give more explanation with that? Is that with regards to all the sale that happens or at the end of the year before you file the declaration? So how can you be certain that what your wife tells you is the right amount to be introduced in the declaration? This is the entrepreneurial activity of my wife. So what she tells me, what she shows me, that's it. I cannot have other pieces of evidence in this case. So she shows you her notes. How can we understand this? When are those notes written down? Throughout the year. So throughout the year, yes. As I said, some of the goods are developed because they are ordered by a customer. So she puts down the customer, what they wanted, and what the price was. What was the price that was supposed to be paid by the customer? And then at the end of the year, we sit down and we sum things up. And thank you. Is there anything you would like to add with regards to this matter? Thank you. I don't know if there's anything I'd like to add, only to say that this activity performed that my wife is engaged in observes all the provisions of the law. As for evidence, I can have none other but what I submitted to you. So that's all. So what we have is the 82% and 59%. That's not supported by supporting documentation, and that can't happen for this type of entrepreneurial activity. This is official revenue that taxes are paid for on the basis of a patent. And this is the legal income of my wife. Fine, thank you. Now we will move on to another section. We've had quite an extensive correspondence with you. Mr. Holban, in my turn, I'd also like to greet you. I have a follow-up question. Now, you were asked about the difference there. You said that amount is, well, earned from entrepreneurial activity, and that other supporting documentation cannot be provided. When we asked you about how you sum up the annual figures to put that in the declaration, you answered that it is possible to do because you have those notes. These notes, as you maintained, contain or include who ordered certain items, because you said usually these items are manufactured, produced in advance, what the item was and how much was collected, which allows you to sum up all those figures and then introduce the sum in the declaration. Now, my question is with regards to these notes and these calculations, because you certainly have them. That's how you did the arithmetic calculations. Can you submit that to the Commission? The notes that I talked about, well, it doesn't say who is there. There is personal data, so it doesn't say who is the customer. Usually it says what the item was, what is the amount that was supposed to be paid for that item. I need to ask my wife, and if there is that, then usually we keep them on a yearly basis. I'm not sure I can find them for the previous years. If I find them, I will be happy to provide them to you. Microphone is not on. Thank you. In December 2021, your wife, through Olg Prim Limited Liability Company that she is the owner of since 2011, she has opened the Cafe Ograda in Roșcani district of Chișinău. Over 2011-2020, that business of your wife and Old Prim Group in particular did not register any taxable income with the State Tax Service. And for 2021, it registered an income of 1,000 lei. In your answers to the Commission, you declared that for the opening of Cafe Ograda, investments were made in the approximate amount of 80,000 lei. This amount includes 2 loan contracts worth 30,000 lei each from your father's peasant household and your contribution of 20,000 lei. And there were some other works that were contributed that you performed together with your wife. You provided copies of the bank statements that confirm the transfer of those 2 loans. In the period of October 2021, June 2022, Olg Prim registered purchases on the basis of tax invoices in the total amount of about 589,000 lei. In your answers to the questions of the Commission, you maintained that those were current expenses for the management of the business, and you also said that that was used to purchase raw materials from a company, and you also provided an agreement that confirms a commercial relationship for the procurement of raw material for coffee and related products. Concurrently, in addition to the raw material purchased from that company in that same period of time, the company recorded procurements with a financial turnover of approximately 180,000 lei. Considering the profile of the nature of the business operators that the procurements were made from, these funds might be qualified rather as investments, not current expenses, operational expenses for the business, such as the procurement of raw material. In your subsequent answers to the Commission, you provided information regarding the source of the 180,000 lei, and you provided also bank statements on 2 bank accounts of Olg Prim Company. On the first account, you can see it for yourself, I will not read it out loud. Transfers were registered on that account in 2020, amounting to about 600,000 lei from an unidentified bank account. And with that amount, construction materials, equipment, and foodstuffs were purchased. On the second account, between 1st of November 2021 and the 20th of October 2022, there were transfers of about 750,000 lei. Of that amount, 747,000 lei was used in the entrepreneurial activity for the procurement of construction materials, foodstuffs. As regards the depositions on this second account, they were done through an ATM, as with the name proceeds from the activity of ATM and the bank, and then REC. And I will ask the questions in the same fashion as before. Please confirm that your wife is the owner of Olg Prim Limited Liability Company and that she's been the owner of it since it was registered in 2011. Yes, that is correct. She is the founder, the only founder since 2011. Please confirm that she is the sole owner of the company. Yes, the share capital belongs to her. Please confirm that in the period of 2011-2020, this company did not register any taxable income and that in 2021 it registered an income of 1,000 lei. That is right, because it did not carry out entrepreneurial activity until 2021. I can't remember very well, at some point at the end of the year. Late 2021, December 2021, last days of 2021, that is when the entrepreneurial activity, the business activity of that company actually started. So we confirmed that Olg Prim Group owns Cafe Ograda. Yes. Please confirm that you told the Commission that the investments in Cafe Ograda were made amounted to about 80,000 lei. Yes. And you are faithful to this answer. That was the 80,000 was the investment. At the time when it was set up, when it was opened, the investment to initiate business activity amounted to that amount that was mentioned. I have here a few pictures. Is this the place we're talking about? Do you recognize it? Yes, yes. Just to be certain that it's not a different place that we're talking about. Fine. Please confirm that the Commission told you about having gained information according to which in the period October 2021, June 2022, all Group Prim registered purchases based on tax invoices amounting to 589,000 lei. Yes, I was informed. And when the Commission asked you to explain the purpose and the source of income for these expenses, you mentioned that these were current expenses for the management of the business. Insofar as I know, I was told that that's what it was for, money used for the business. But can you confirm that when you were asked about the source of the 180,000 lei, that can be rather qualified as regarded as investments, not as operational activity, you provided the bank statements of the two bank accounts of Olg Group Prim? Yes, I presented that at my request. My wife provided me those statements from the bank accounts belonging to the limited liability company. It's my understanding that it's one single bank account that is divided into two. Can you explain us whose is the account that the transfer of 638,000 was made from? There was a transfer made to one of these accounts of Olprim Group. I reiterate, insofar as I know, that company has an account opened with a commercial bank in Moldova. That commercial bank has separated the account into two parts because limited liability has also a bank machine, and for all the procurements that are paid with a card, they are deposited to one particular account, and what is paid in cash goes to a different part of the account. So there are two ways that you can deposit there, either through a cash-in, also through a cash-in machine. You can also do that. I might not have been very clear. The question was whether in the information that you provided to us, there's an account that the transfers were made from. We don't see the account where the transfers were made from. If you have this information now, if you know it, we'd appreciate it. Or you can come back to us. I did not understand the question right, misunderstood it. So in the facts that is put down, and if you don't, well, I do not know, I cannot identify that. You can come back to, you can reply or provide to the Commission information later. Information with regards to the account that the transfers were made from to this account. Let me have a look at it, and if I see it here, I will provide the answer now. I have those statements, but I cannot find the explanation. That is clear. That this is something that was addressed in the last round of questions, so we had already invited you to the hearing, so this is to further be clarified. We will send you an email in this regard, and it's best to clarify if that is possible. And the next question is whether you can explain in some way the payments in cash, with regards to the payments in cash, the cash payments in the total amount of 757,000 on the other account or on the other part, whatever, if it's separated, if it's an account that is separated into two. Are you aware who has been making those deposits? Are they through an ATM, proceeds from the activity at ATM, the bank, REC? Understood. So as far as I know and as far as I was informed, that is periodical, either by the accounting, there's somebody there who is in charge of accounting, and sometimes if that is required, the wife goes there to do it too.
Thank you very much. Do you have anything to add further to this question regarding the cafe, investment expenses? No, I can only tell that what I declared is true. The investment in this cafe, as you noticed it very well, on the photos that you showed, almost everything that is in there is done by my wife. It's handmade. Even the tables, if you pay attention, they are done from wood, from the countryside, which is more than 30 years old. So it was recycling in this way. So investment in terms of money is the amount that I declared. So money was used only for the equipment, like refrigerator, and as you saw, according to the bank abstract, the 70,000 that we show where it came from and what it was spent for initially. Well, that's what I know and what I said. And the 180,000. Now, I am not sure, but I know that subsequently, over time, when needed investment, from the money that was obtained, some investment was made, some purchases was made for the needs of the economic activity. I understood that. Now we will have another block of questions about your parents and brother. Law has our paragraph number 2, and in the context of it, the Commission has questions. In 2017, your parents purchased an apartment of 64.6 square meters located in Chișinău based on a sale purchase contract of 14th of August. You presented a copy of a sale purchase contract to the Commission, which indicates a purchase price of 136,645 lei. In 2017, it was, give or take, 6,900 euros. At the same time, the contract provided for the estimated value of apartment by the Territorial Cadastral Office at 388,809 lei. On the market at that time, in 2017-2018, the market value was around 42 to 45,000 euros. On the same day, your parents bought another apartment of 65.8 square meters in the same building, based on another sale purchase contract. You could not provide that contract because you said to the Commission that the original was sent to the notary at the time of sale. So this second apartment was subsequently sold by the parents. Also, you did not provide information about the price of the second apartment. Taking into account similar parameters of the apartments, the Commission presumes that their price was similar, which means your parents should have paid at least 250,000 lei, according to the contract for the purchase of both apartments. In your answers to the Commission about your parents' source of funds for these purchases, you declared the following: 4 income sources, namely sale of a tractor, model MTZ82, for which you did not provide a copy of a sale contract and neither you provided the price. The sale of 3 land plots, for which you provided a copy of a sales contract and the amount 14,126 lei. Economic activity on working the land through your father's peasant household, and you attached bank extracts for your father's peasant household for 2017, but those accounts show revenues worth 106,310 lei, but also expenses worth of a similar extent. It was 106,611 lei. You also showed some short-term loans from individuals, but you did not provide any confirmation or what the amounts of those loans were. According to the information from the State Tax Service, your parents' income during 2007 to 2017, the income was 394,643 lei. In 2013, your parents purchased 6 spaces in Chișinău at a price of around estimated 63,000. The amount you mentioned was 376 euros. On the same day as your parents bought 2 apartments, your brother bought an apartment in the same building. You submitted the copy of a contract at a similar price, 136,442. This contract also provides for a higher value about the cadastral value, 388,207 lei. When it comes to the source of funds for your brother to purchase the apartment, you presented a copy of a declaration submitted to the tax authority of Telenești in 2012 that declared cash amounts as of 1st of January 2012 in an amount of around precisely 950,000 lei. I would like to remind you that in 2012, amendments to the tax code were passed, the so-called fiscal amnesty law, which allowed to declare the cash held without being audited by the authorities. According to the information that the Commission has, your brother did not register any income for the years 2013, 14, 15, 16. And in 2017, he declares an amount of an income of 12,421 lei. When the Commission asked you about the cash, 950,000 declared in 2012, you told the Commission that these were financial resources obtained by your brother together with your parents over several years. And once the fiscal authorities required to submit declarations, they decided to submit one joint declaration. You also declared that since 2009 you have your own family and separate budgets, while your brother is closer to parents, and that's why he continues to work together with them on the land plots that they own, and you don't know financial details about your brother. Please confirm that your parents bought the 2 apartments mentioned in 2017. From information I was provided, yes, it was like that. And you submitted to the Commission at least one contract regarding one of the apartments, mentioning the amount of 123,000. And on the second one, you can't provide it. You said you don't have it. When I asked them to provide me the information, my parents, my brother, all the information that they give to me, I gave to you, including this contract. So this is to the extent we had the information. And both apartments were similar. So we could conclude about the prices were similar too. I did not see them, maybe. So you don't know? No. Could you somehow explain? How was it possible that both in the contract on one of the purchased apartments by your parents and in the apartment purchased by your brother, we have the amount for the apartment 136,000, give or take, while the estimated cadastral value is 388,000 estimated for both of them. How can you explain this difference? I don't know how to explain. Based on the information that I received from my brother and from my parents, I was informed that these real estates are, if I'm not mistaken, this is at the last, they're at the last floor and they don't have all the utilities, and that's why the price was lower than the market price. But how they evaluated it, I don't know. Probably public services did, public services agency bodies did that. Well, it's the same contract. If you need the contract, I can provide it to you now, if you need a copy. In the same contract, there is a clause saying, one clause about price of the contract, and another one says about cadastral value. I don't know how they established the contractual price. Probably it was an agreement to which seller and buyer came. But the evaluation done by Public Services Agency is done by state authorities based on other criteria. But what about the difference between the declared price and the market value price? I mean, we're talking about 7,000 on one hand and 40,000 euros on another hand. How can you explain this difference? As I said before, I asked for information, and all the information that I received from parents and brother, I sent to you. I provided you everything they told me. Condition, place, I don't have any other information, unfortunately. Let's say prices were paid as mentioned in the contract. Let's say we depart from this hypothesis. Could you please confirm that when the Commission asked you about the sources of income for the 250,000 lei of the parents, you provided or you talked about 4 source income: the tractor, the land plot, economic activity of a peasant's household, and some loans. You provided nothing about the tractor, no contract, no price. Is that true? The tractor MTZ82. I think I provided in the next round of questions. No, you didn't. That's why we come back to this. I think I provided because from what I was informed by my father, the tractor was sold to a person, but based on a practice that is current in Moldova, I know that it was sold by power of attorney, and he does not have a contract. This is what I remember. Okay, no physical contract, but what about the price? So I reiterate. What they told you, this is what I tell you. Let's clarify, because there are some technical issues. So you said, so we certainly did not receive, and we are checking. But, well, anyway, we take note of all these things, and if needed, we will come back to this topic. For land plots, you showed the amount of 14,326, that's in the contract. Regarding the peasant's household, you mentioned that as the source, but what you submitted, the bank abstracts, show the following data. Income 106,610 and expenses 106,600. I did not analyze, but we did. We did. Which means this couldn't have been a source of income. The abstracts of the source of income, as I said, is the economic activity of my parents. They working the land. They have over 50 hectares of land that they work annually based on this peasant household. This is what I want to clarify, because we tried to do that in the questions round, that you only told us expenses that's just a little bit higher than income. So this cannot be an income source if the expenses are equal to the income. Well, it can't, but once more, please don't be upset, but the activity of a peasant household means selling products not only through bank transactions, but also physically. I know they had an orchard and they were selling produce on the market. That was an income source. But I provided you what I had available. This is important because you did not mention that what you submitted us is what is available in the bank abstracts, but now you say there were other income than that? There was other income. You asked evidence. The evidence available is only this, but the economic activity regarding working the land plot means selling produce both to buyers that pay by transfer, but a significant share is sold on markets where there is no confirmation document available. Thank you. I just want to confirm, so to make sure that we are on the same page. Out of 250,000 so far, the Commission has confirmation for only 14,126 lei. That's about parent sources. And that's based on what we received so far. Well, the questions that I asked. Well, after I received questions from you, I asked my parents, and I was informed that all the money that they paid for these properties were coming from their economic activity and saved for several years. That's why the declaration that was made in the respective year, 2012, yeah, that was a specific amount of money that they had. And probably a part from there was source for paying for that property. And now let's move to that you anticipated the questions. Could you please explain what was the activity of your brother for the, well, in the context of the declaration of having 950,000 in cash in 2012. My brother, together with my parents, as I said, I got married in 2009 and we had separate budgets, but he's younger, he's not married, and together with my parents, he works these land plots, and as I said, we're talking about 50-something hectares of land. They are owned by my parents before I became a civil servant, and ever since, they work the land. Moreover, if I'm not mistaken, I also provided you my father's patent, who provided services with a tractor. He owned, and it was a source of income. And over the years, they collected this amount, and this was declared. So you wrote, provided that in writing as well. So this amount was filed by your brother, but you state that this money belonged to brother and parents, obtained from working agricultural lands, 50 hectares. I cannot say precisely, but it's 50-50 something. Thank you. I have no other questions. Maybe you would like to provide some clarification. I can only confirm and tell you once more, but the information provided to you was provided by my parents and brother because I asked them. My parents became owners of these properties before I became a civil servant. This activity was carried out during several years. It was diverse. These amounts were collected legally, and they make use of their money the way they want to. That's it. Mr. Holban, based on hypothesis that this apartment cost 250,000 lei and previously mentioned several funding sources, I think that once you, since these sources were mentioned, you asked your parents if that was a source for buying those items. I would like to clarify. Were you told that one of the sources was the sale of a tractor, but they did not tell you for how much they sold it? I mean, it's very important to understand the math. For me, it's important to understand it. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, well, indeed, they told me that one of the sources was selling that tractor. With respect to the price, I am sure it wasn't told to me because I don't even remember the year when it happened, and my father also probably doesn't remember the precise price. That's in order not to mislead. It's just really difficult to understand. I mean, with the hypothesis that this was one of the funding sources, you stop there. I mean, you didn't ask him how much did you sell it for. I mean, even if it was sold based on power of attorney, didn't you ask him for how much? Of course, I asked him. And my father told me, I don't remember exactly. He gave me some approximate amount, and in order not to generate any unclarity, any confusion, I cannot state it, because if I say it, it will not be justified. Well, a similar question about another aspect. You said that one of the sources of income was short-term loans from other individuals. You have no copy of loan agreements. But again, the amounts, so that I can add figures up to see if this can approach 250,000. If I'm not mistaken, in the last round of questions, I provided a contract. It was about something else. We are talking about loans from individuals. Yes, but the ones invoked by parents that were invoked as a source of income in order to be able to purchase these real estate worth of 250,000. Well, I'm saying what they told me what the income were. This is what I told. I don't know people. I'm speaking about amounts. People, no, I certainly don't know that. In your speech, you were talking that most of this income was obtained as a result of economic activity. They had an orchard, and I just want to understand precisely this money from this activity. During what time what was it gathered? What was the income that they got from this activity at the market, per year or per some period, so that I could understand the amount of this. My parents perform this activity since 1992. Slowly, they started to buy land plots, became owners. That's from as far as I remember myself. You said there are two options to sell these products officially and not so officially. Well, that's the reality of Moldova, indeed, on the markets and so on. And you focused on that category as an income that was underlying the purchase. So what was the amount of this, the proceeds of the sales on the market? I did not take part in those selling on the market, so I don't know. Well, what I know, it was enough to buy this property and the money they used to buy these properties. Thank you, Mr. Holban, for the answers. Mr. Holban, hello. You are talking about 50 hectares. Your parents have 50 hectares need to be worked. So on one hand, they sold the tractor, and what do they use to process that land now, to work that land? What is happening on those land plots? What do they grow? I mean, if it's walnut trees and which doesn't need the land to be worked, it's one thing, and if it's something that needs to for the land to be worked, that's it. My father has 2 tractors, so he has 2 more tractors. Yes, so he still has 2 more tractors besides the one he sold. Okay, but what do they grow? So mostly, from what I know, they grow sunflower and corn. Thank you. It's my pleasure. Cred că ajungem la sfârșit an.
We have one more round of questions for you. We'll be back to Victoria.
I apologize.
Don't worry. It's okay.
I'm going to ask you some questions about a loan of 95,000 lei that you received from your father in 2018. In your declaration for 2018, you declared a loan of 95,000 lei for the period of 2018 to 2025 at 0% interest rate from your father. In your answers to the commission, to the questions from the commission, you stated that the money was received in cash without a written contract, and that the repayment of the loan is to be made in installments depending on the availability of funds within the established term. You also told the commission that the source of funds for your father for the loan were, again, the sale of the model tractor, the sale of the land plots, and the economic activity from the farm, which I think we've just discussed in great detail. You also indicated that all of these are sources of funds for the purchase of 2 apartments, which was just discussed. You did provide a copy of the sale purchase contract of the land, which indicates the amount of 14,126 lei for the sale of the land. And again, we've discussed the absence of a contract for the model tractor, which was sold through a power of attorney. And again, we don't have the price for which it was sold. You did provide a certificate from the State Fiscal Service for your father for various years, 2015 through 2020, missing in the typewritten portion of that. And do you have a copy of it? Do you have a copy of the document? I just don't want to be asking you something.
Îl caut.
I'm just looking for it now.
It should have been in the materials you were given today.
Yes, it is.
Da, doar o secundă.
Certificatul, uitați-vă în acele care le-ați...
Da, este gata.
It's here. I found it. Found it.
That certificate, in the printed portion of it, does not include any entries for the year 2018. There are some handwritten notes which refer to 2018 and contain some numbers and some calculations, and then has the handwritten notation of 45,000 lei. According to information from the State Fiscal Service in 2018, the total income declared by your father was 5,117 lei. Please confirm that you received a loan from your father in the amount of 95,000 lei in 2018?
Da, am primit.
Yes, I did receive it. I confirm.
Okay. And please confirm that you provided a certificate issued by the State Fiscal Service to your father, which for 2018 included only handwritten notes referring to 45,000 lei, apparently in connection with 2018.
Da, l-am prezentat.
Yes, I submitted the way I was provided it. So I respectively provided it to you.
Do you have any idea who made those notations, the handwritten notations?
După scris e tata.
Looking at the handwriting, it was my father, that's certain.
So it was not the State Fiscal Service that made the entries for 2018 of 45,000 lei?
I don't know. Looking at handwriting, I recognize that it's my father's handwriting, but probably it wasn't. I cannot confirm nor infirm that.
Do you have any idea when those notations?
Aveți vreo idee când au fost făcute?
Nu cunosc.
I don't know. This is how I got this document. It was like this. So I received it and I scanned it and sent it to you. I don't know.
Do you have any idea whether your father's income in 2018 was 5,115 lei as apparently provided by the State Fiscal Service, or 45,000 lei as indicated in the handwritten notations on the certificate that you provided?
Eu nu cunosc.
I don't know his income. I don't know.
Do you have anything you'd like to add or further clarify with respect to the sources of funds for the loan to you of 95,000 lei in 2018?
Da, da, eu v-am remis în acest
No, yes, I provided you as an annex bank abstract from of my father's, because on the day he gave me the loan, where the money was withdrawn from the account on the day he gave me. They were deposited there. I don't know if that was money earned in 2018 or it was from previous periods that he saved. If I'm not mistaken, it was Annex 13 to the initial question. I gave you a bank abstract, and it shows that on the day when he gave me the money, there is a withdrawal of that amount, which was the first installment when I bought my house. This is 95,000.
I have no further questions.
Microphone, please.
Sorry. Now I can say what I was intending to say a few minutes ago. I think we're coming very close to the end of our hearing, but before coming there, I would like to give you the opportunity to make a brief closing comment. If you would like to do so, then if so, please go ahead.
Thank you.
Personal, vreau să vă spun
Now I would like to tell you that I hope I managed to demonstrate to you all of my activity and all of my assets, and to persuade you that all the assets that I have and that all my activity is in line with the law.
în primul rând am
And therefore, everything that I did and in everything that I do, I try to make sure that I observe the law without any prejudice to the image of the justice system. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we've now come to the end of the hearing. During the discussions, you heard that we were maybe thinking about asking additional documentation from you. I think we will have to deliberate internally and see whether we would like to do so. If that were to be the case, you can expect something from us, I suppose, at the beginning of next week, where we will clarify what it is exactly that we were to be asking you for. But with that being said, I think we come to the end of the hearing. I would like to thank you for the detailed answers that you have been giving to all our questions. As you know, the procedure now is that the Commission will withdraw for deliberations. We will issue a reasoned decision later, and the Commission strives to do so within 1 month of the date of the hearing of today. I can hereby declare this hearing closed, and thank you again.
mulțumesc.
Thank you.